Well, welcome to Conversations That Count. I'm super excited by this conversation. I am joined by Dane, who is the owner of Heart-Led Warriors, which is all about men's work, which I'm sure we'll delve into a lot in this conversation.
Just maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, just a tad.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So welcome. Maybe let's start at like, what is Heart-Led Warriors? So maybe let's go there and see what naturally unfolds.
Heart-Led Warriors is the brand. I first began Heart-Led Warriors because of men's work. I fell in love with men's work because I was experiencing men's work myself, and everything that we do is from the heart. And I truly believe that for a lot of people to heal, they need to come back to that, because everyone's in their head, right? Well, most people are in their head. And everyone's a warrior. Men, women, children, they all have that inner warrior. It doesn't matter what you've been through. You're always fighting that battle. And for most people, they get to win those battles. And that's where that name began. With my wife, Nadine, who you know really well as well, that's the basis of our company. Is it's a heart-led company.
So men's work, like actually what is men's work? I know that we hear it and say how important it is for men to do the work, but what is it? That's a pretty loaded.
However many years ago it was now, I dove into the work, as everyone says, and really thinking that what I provided was for men. And it is. However, we had so many women reach out once I started sharing footage of the retreats and what we do and the releases and all of the things. And I actually soon realised that it wasn't just men's work, it's everyone's work. So to call it just men's work, I don't think gives it justice. And though we provide the work for just men on our retreats and workshops, and we also do the same for women. And I think it's really important for men and women to experience this separately and not as a collective. And that's why we can go, this is men's work and this is women's work.
So when men come to you, because I guess, and I'm talking about this from a woman's perspective, and, you know, I've been on a personal discovery journey for such a long time and know the importance of it. And I see so many women that are going first type thing. With men, there's like a little bit of I don't know if block is the right word.
It's a resistance.
There's a resistance
Huge
there.
resistance.
And so what's that resistance for men to actually go, okay, something needs to change. I need to do something different for myself, for my family, for my kids. What is that resistance, and what do you believe is that the turning point for them to then go, okay, enough is enough?
So, yeah, women have been leading the way in this space for so long and still are, and men are slowly coming around. But, yeah, there's that resistance, and it's our own fault as men, because as men we don't support each other enough. We're too worried about what other men will say because of this old school mindset of what a man should look like. Because, again, like my dad, my grandfathers, they did things in different ways back then, and I think everyone gets caught up in how men did things 20, 30, 40 years ago, where the world is so different. So there's that resistance of men going, oh, I'm not allowed to cry because my dad didn't cry or my grandfather didn't cry, and if these people see me and they'll judge me, then what am I going to be a man? And it's a massive fear of judgment from others, and the lack of support that other men give men doing this type of work.
How would you define being a man?
It's a really great question, and I spoke about this on my stories the other day or a week ago, and there's not one size fits all, because you can have a really softer man, more feminine man that's supremely masculine in the way he supports, provides, and protects his family or himself or his partners or anything like that. And then you get the really masculine-looking men that are strong and bulky that may not be able to provide and do that in that way. So for me, and it's something that I've learned and still learning, is that I think it's more about the values of masculinity as to what makes a man.
Masculinity, like, I know that there's I don't want to say buzzword, but like toxic masculinity. I feel like
It's not real.
Yeah.
Look, if there's
Yeah.
toxic masculinity, there
Yeah.
has to be toxic femininity.
Yeah.
I don't believe in either. There's toxic behaviours.
Yeah, okay. What are toxic behaviours then?
And I think it's because there's a lack of pure masculinity in today's day and age, because, again, we start trying to bring that, what masculine men look like, from the 60s and 70s. So it's lost its way. How can we bring the values through and adapt it to today's society? And I truly believe that's why there's such the buzzword around that toxic masculinity, because it's a lot of young men doing the wrong things, and that's why it's given that behaviour, because it is mostly men doing these things. And it's pointed out, though, stealing cars and the physical and mental abuse that they may do towards partners, they're not masculine traits. They're just behaviours, because both sexes do that in their own way. So, yeah.
What's led you and inspired you to create this company? What's been your journey here?
There's so many points of why and when and how, though I guess the first one that's come to my mind is my boys. I've got two beautiful young boys. And my eldest mate and I was starting to see the things I hated in myself in him, and it was with some beautiful leadership from my wife, with her doing the work, that I realised that if I didn't do the work, that if I wasn't going to end my life, he'd probably end his. So that was the biggest kick in the bum anyone could ever receive. And that's where I learned about passing that modelling behaviour, generational trauma, and among so many other things, but that's the first one that come to my mind. I think it's a really important one, because there are so many fathers out there that I know are like me and would probably look at their children and want the best for them, and yet aren't setting the best example for them, whether that's in their physical or mental behaviours. And knowing what I know now, I can only share what I know and do what I do. And yeah, just if you can't do it for yourself to begin with, do it for your children, and you'll soon find out that you're doing it for yourself.
What was your journey like? You just mentioned mental health there as well, and I know, and this is a generalisation, a lot of men who silently suffer and they don't necessarily feel that they can express how they're feeling, because they need to be the strong one for their family as well. So how did that kind of unravel, and for you to go, okay, I'm doing it for them and I want to be here, and for you to then openly talk about it as well?
Yeah, so I lived a life full of suicidal ideation from about the eight years of age, so a long time, silent, kept it to myself, kept it from my wife for the better part of our time together, until it just came to a boiling point through my behaviours and patterns were just causing a lot of destruction within my life and my family's life. And it got to a point where I was, there was contemplation of, or I was giving myself reasons of why not to end my life. And it was the fear of looking weak in front of my wife by telling her. And when I finally again, with so much gentle persuasion, lots of gentle persuasion from her, because she's a special person and she intuitively knew without knowing as well. So it just got to a point where I had to say it. There was no other option other than doing what I was contemplating or saying something, and was within saying or opening up and finally letting her know, and then just being held in a way that I wasn't expecting. There was a weight lifted off my shoulders, and it was in that moment I knew that being vulnerable, or letting myself be vulnerable and sharing my struggles, was actually where my strength lied. And that's when I just started sharing on social media. It was so scary, and then just opened up, started speaking about my challenges, and the beautiful support that I received from people in our community. And this is before I started Heart Led, from wives and girlfriends and partners in particular, because I guess they could relate to my story and saw similarities in their partners. But the support I received, I'm like, okay, there's so much power in sharing and letting myself be vulnerable. And then just it started from there.
And I love that so much that, although I'm sure it's hard to share, how many people can relate to you and your story. And like, you're married, you've got 2 kids, had a successful career and stuff beforehand as well. Like, how many people are in the same boat? And you're like,
Millions.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a statistic around how many adults have suicidal thoughts or ideation, and it can be severe to just, I wish I wasn't here. But that I wish I wasn't here can really spiral really quickly. It's like 88% of adults, it's insane, yet not insane at the same time. It's so common that why aren't we speaking about it more often? So,
and I believe out of that, majority of that is men as well.
Yeah.
And I wonder why for men it's a lot higher as well. And there needs to be a turning point, and I know that you and I are so passionate about this as well. What is the turning point to allow men to actually speak up and say what's happening for them, rather than see that as strength, rather than seeing it as a weakness?
Yeah, look, I still believe we need to get rid of that old paradigm of what that masculine man does or doesn't do. And it's, again, there's no blame on any generation, though. It's because of how men didn't share back then is why so many men are struggling now, because a lot of the thoughts and feelings that you're having are passed on through DNA and energy. There's data and science behind it now to back that up. So, and I know for me, with the work that I've done, I got to see and feel sadness from my past generations that was in me, and I was holding on to, and I was just like, wow, what is this? And if I'm experiencing that, everyone's experiencing that. So as soon as we can shift the idea of what a man is supposed to do and be in what he physically does instead of what he emotionally does, I think that's going to be a huge shift. And just the more men, and that's why we share what we share, to show, because there's men of all walks of life that come and do the work with us, from military to police to ex-criminals to all a broad range of everyone, tattoos, no tattoos, big, small. It's just the more we share, I think the more common it'll become and the more accepted it will become for other men to do that. So, yeah.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on there. Like the first one, you mentioned generational trauma. Can you explain that in a little bit more detail and what that actually means?
Sure. So generational trauma is trauma passed on through DNA energy from generation to generation, from your mothers, fathers, grandfathers. If you want to go even further, from past lives, it's all there. We know that energy is real. It's a scientific fact. We're all made up of energy, and energy is passed on through our DNA, through our blood, through connection, through any way. And we can't see what we have. We can't unsee what we've seen, especially through the work that we've done and knowing how real that is, and even through the breath works that we provide, how connected you can become and live experiences through breath that your fathers or grandfathers have had. So you're able to be aware of why you're feeling a certain way and finally maybe make sense of it and be able to release that.
And just on that, like, I feel like parents they would resonate with this. It's like when they catch themselves doing a particular behavior, like, oh, my dad did that or my mum did that, that's a passed on learned behavior that you're then passing on. So by you doing the work, it's giving you the opportunity to break that cycle and break that and create change for then your children to get a different experience.
Yeah. And it's actually something that Nadine speaks into, which is a beautiful topic, is I think there's a lot of focus around breaking generational trauma, which is great, and we need to do that, though we're also needing to bring through the generational wisdom. So there's so much wisdom from our families and past generations that we might be blocking off as well, because we're so focused on that healing aspect and breaking the curse and all of those things that we're forgetting that there's so much great things that we need to bring through as well.
So with the men's work that you do, and you mentioned that there's people from all walks of life, when someone starts with you to when they finish the work, whether that's through retreats or other programs that you offer, what are some of the challenges that you address or that they come in with that when they walk out, they're a completely different person?
So many. We have men that have come in that have faced a lifetime of physical or sexual abuse, or grown up without parents, grown up as children that have been adopted and never met their real parents, and they feel lost or have no connection to their heritage, whether they're from Indonesia or Asia or wherever that may be. So there's so many challenges that many men and women are facing that they come in with. So it's such a broad range that I wouldn't be able to narrow it down to one. However, what we do our best at doing is bringing it back to them, helping them realise, yes, these things may have helped or happened to them in their past. So how can they change that for themselves? So the challenge that we attack mostly outside of their traumas is bringing it back to them. How can they take the ownership of that? How can they change that for themselves?
And by you doing this work as well, what's been the impact and change in your life? And also around mental health as well. Like, how has that changed?
The biggest thing for me personally, outside of my kids and my wife and my family, is that I actually found joy in myself, and that was missing for a really long time. And finding that is a practice as well. So finding joy and finding love for myself were the two biggest things, and they go hand in hand. So yeah.
How do you do that? Like, as a man, how do you find joy in that love?
Well, I think joy and love, one doesn't exist without the other. And you could call it inner joy or inner love or whatever you would like to call it. I think they're pretty much the same thing. It's just being supremely comfortable in the person that you are. I think society really paints a picture of how a man's supposed to be, and we do our best to live up to that, and I don't think that's the right thing to be doing, is what society says for us or what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing. True strength lies in vulnerability. And I think vulnerability is the courage to have and act as the person that you want to be. So I think as soon as you can find that vulnerability and that joy in yourself, that's where you'll find that love for yourself as well.
And that goes hand in hand with women and men as well. I was part of a conversation last night, and a man had said that he kind of feels sorry for women and what we have to go through, and sometimes being on the receiving end of men. And while I agree to that to a certain extent, there's also the other side of that at the same time. And, you know, with men, it's more acceptable, I think, for women to express how they feel and ask for help and ask for support. And for men, it's still not there.
Not yet.
And so I kind of was like, well, there's challenges for being a man at the same time.
Yeah.
And asking for that.
Yeah, challenges for human beings. I will 100% back up the gentleman that you're having a conversation with. We haven't, as men, and this I'm talking to myself here as well, that we haven't been doing our job as men. Though haven't had the men of past model that for us either, because everything evolves. Society, this world changes so quickly now that that essence of a masculine man hasn't evolved properly yet either. It's trying, and there's lots of different bits and pieces and views on it. However, it's those values of the support, love, protector, provider, they can come through, and I really don't feel that as men as a collective we've been doing that properly, because I'm going to go out and make a living for my family, which, yes, that's part of it. However, it's not the main thing today, because women are able to, there's so many families have to have a dual income, and there's so many other ways to provide all that, and it's not happening. And it's the emotional side of things for our children and wives that we've been lacking on, that's causing the I can't even find a word for it, just that distance from being from that masculinity.
It's interesting you just said that about women now working at the same time for whatever reasons. And I spoke with Dane about women finding their voice and stepping into their power and doing the things that they want to do at the same time, which that's massively shifted. And so it's like women are now more driven and ambitious and independent than probably ever. So it's like, how do you then, like as a woman, create space then for the man?
Yes. Look, I actually don't think it's about creating space for the man. I think it's about the men stepping up, because you get to, if your wife, partner, girlfriend is the major breadwinner, that's awesome. It doesn't take away from your masculinity. You can build on that, because she still needs to be loved. She still needs to be supported. She still needs to feel safe. She still needs all of those traditional values of what masculinity is. How can you do that without worrying about, I'm not the major breadwinner? Because if you're so focused on that, that's where things fall apart. Those values still come through no matter your situation, no matter if you're the major breadwinner or she's the major breadwinner. You can still provide those values of masculinity for that person.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Like, and you need both, right?
I'm fucking perfect example of that, because Nadine has been the major breadwinner and still is. And if that was to play a part on me, and I wouldn't be able to be the person I would be if I didn't follow through. So.
And it's supporting her in that. Yeah, which I think that's key, isn't it?
And and again, this is me. I can do more of that. I can all those values. I need to do more of it, because there's definitely times where, like anyone, you can fall off the wagon. So it's a conscious practice until it becomes that unconscious habit.
Yeah. What's the vision for Heart-Led Warriors? Like, what's your vision, mission, purpose, legacy that you want to lead and leave with men's work?
Wow. I would love to. Well, suicide rates in Australia at the moment are 9 people a day, 7 of those being men, which is insane. Insane. I would love, by the time my time's finished, to see that at 0, and knowing that what we're doing, what we're creating, the movement we have has and will be playing a huge part in that. Allowing men to see and feel this work, whether it's at a retreat or an online group or anything. Either way, either whether it's through Heart-Led Warriors or through one of the multiple other groups that you can find yourself doing some healing or growth work. I think the long-term goal is to see that number drop. Yeah.
what's the place for men's work in the workplace? And I say this, and we've had conversations about this, and it's such a passion of mine as well. Like, I've worked in mining, that's my background, male dominant industry, and sexual abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment, drugs, alcohol, suicide, all of those things is such a major issue in mining towns, and they've done studies and everything along those lines in that place, and yet they're not changing those behaviours.
No.
So, yeah, what do you believe in your opinion is, the purpose of men work in the workplace?
So, yeah, I come from a background, I was a builder, carpenter. I worked in the mines myself, and I had lost mates to suicide that were in the mines. So it's definitely something that's super important. It has to start properly from the top down until some sort of men's work, and it becomes, I guess, because it's still, people are still really scared of this holistic approach because it's not as common, and it's becoming more common. However, until we can, because, I mean, I'm going to say it's a broken system, because seeing the psychs, seeing the counsellors, seeing those areas, well, yes, everything has its place. It's not working.
Yeah.
So when is it going to be time to bring in something new, something that people can see what we're doing? There's science behind it now. There's data behind it now that it actually works.
Yeah.
When is that? Like, how many does it have to be? 15 people a day before people go, oh, okay, let's actually try something different. Yeah, I mean, everything has its place. I think even if just people they make a 15-minute breath work every morning in a workplace, a constant, or something that they have to do, just something as simple, to start small.
Yeah.
As simple as that. I mean, we all know the fastest way to regulate your nervous system is to breathe properly.
Yes.
So, yeah, it has to start at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're in the corporate space.
Yeah. And they just make some noise.
Yeah.
It's like, start making some noise. Like I said, how many men and women have to take their own lives each day for the big corporations to go, okay, what we're doing isn't working. Let's try something different.
And it's one of the reasons that I created the company that I've created with women in leadership, is because I don't believe that they're doing the right things to actually support people in the workplace. And you spend, a third of your life in the workplace.
Yeah.
And, men especially, this work is so valuable. And if something happens at work, or there's aggression, or there's something along those lines, their response is to call the counsellor. And, rather than looking at the behaviour and what's the root cause of the behaviour and go down that path, they're just like, oh, here's a Band-Aid fix.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can speak on that from experience, because I've seen the counsellors and seen the psychs, and, well, again, everything has its place, and some of those Band-Aid fixes have been exactly what was needed at the time, but they are a Band-Aid fix, and Band-Aids fall off. So, how do we? It's like, I think on the previous podcast, Nadine was talking about shaking some people. We need to shake some people. Yeah.
Just go around and walk around to people, random people.
Just not babies. Don't shake babies.
No, definitely do not. But it's so true. Like, you kind of want to do that. And I suppose it's one person at a time, and that impact that you're creating over time, that ripple effect.
I think that's we need to remind ourselves too, it is just one person at a time. It starts with you, then the next person, and the next person. And while, I mean, our men's retreats this weekend, and we've got 15 phenomenal men coming along to change their lives. But how many lives are they going to affect by doing this now? Their sons, their daughters, their wives, their fathers.
Oh, I think above all, men's work is so. I love it. Anytime I see like yourself, Dane, or another man doing the work, and I'm going to get emotional as well. But as soon as I see men doing the work, like, my heart just explodes, because it takes such bravery and courage to actually do that as well, and, address the things that's actually playing out in their mind, where women, I feel like we do speak more openly, and still we have a long way to go at the same time. So anyone that does men work, I'm just like, I'm totally here for it. I'm here to support you any way I can, because I've seen how powerful this work is and how life-changing this work is as well.
Yeah, well, again, for women also, and that's why we have the women's retreat, and it's like the mirror image. Yes, there's some things we do differently for the women, though they get to experience the release, they get to experience all the things, because I mean, everyone faces their own kind of trauma.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment on anyone's trauma to the severity of it. So why, like, everyone deserves to do this.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to do it.
So if I'm a man and going, I'm not happy with who I am, or, hey, I don't even know who I am, and there's like something that's happening within me, what's the first step that you would suggest anyone to take?
There's so many, I mean, there's the stigma around it, and there's like, oh, no one's there to listen. There's so many organisations like ours that are there online to provide support. So firstly, stop with the excuses that no one's there to listen, because there are so many. And all it takes is for you to go, and it's that fear, move past that fear and just open up that conversation, because that is the first step. If, like me, if you're having those suicidal thoughts, or you're deep in depression or anxiety and you haven't told anyone, tell someone. Like the moment that I finally told my wife that I was having these suicidal thoughts was one of the most weightlifting experiences I've ever had. And instead of carrying all that weight, how would you feel to let go of it all? So just it has to start with you telling someone. Yeah.
Yeah. And by you opening up back then and going on your own journey, how has that then now changed when something's happening for you or going on for you?
Look, diving deep inward on yourself is never, because it's like it's a path that you've never travelled. So anytime you do it, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. And no matter how deep you go or how often you do it, there's always that little bit of restriction in your body because it's the unknown. Every time I've been able to do that, that feeling of freedom within is what and why we do what we do, because you unlock that piece of yourself, you let go of that piece, you feel lighter, you feel better, there's more capacity to receive and do things for yourself as well.
What do you do to continue your journey as well? Because and as we said previously, it's a constant learning and unlearning and growth journey as well. So what do you continue to do to help on your own journey, and then for you to also then pass that on to the people around you?
We're always continuing to have people in our corner that have maybe 1, 2 or 3 steps ahead of us, that have been in our position and have travelled a path over years, and they can give us advice and lead us in a direction where we're not going to spend another 2 or 3 years finding that way. I'm so fortunate that I have probably the most powerful person in the world as my wife, and she does her best to hold me to my highest standard and has helped me discover so many things, and recently discover things about myself and why I do things the way I do, and why I don't do things the way I do as well. So knowing that support's there for me, you're going to have that support there for yourself as well. Though being able to support yourself on your own is a huge thing too. So continually having people in my corner, and just being open to learning more about myself as well. Again, I think the moment you stop and think that you're healed is when you'll stop growing. I think I've had moments of that over the years, and even recently, where I was able to unlock some more about myself through the help of my wife. And again, that's only helping me grow further. So.
And I can imagine, we've already said Nadine's an incredible person. This podcast is not about you, Nadine.
Well, it is. It is, because this wouldn't be anything without her being a part of my life. And there's another beautiful lady here who I have to mention as well, Libni, because she's as much a part of this as what I am. So this isn't just me. It's my kids, it's my wife, it's my family, and that family extends out further than just my immediate family. So.
And I love that you've got such a beautiful support network around you where you're able to share all of this as well, where I feel like some men might not have that as well.
Yeah.
And so how do you create that?
So most men are worried or fearful of opening up because of what their mates might think. However, and we do these, we dive into this deep into the retreats and the work that we do, and it's almost forcing them to open up and share their deepest, darkest fears and feelings and regrets and shames and guilts, because the next man has feelings and everything pretty much exactly the same, unique to his journey.
Yeah.
And it's that feeling of, I'm not the only one feeling like this. There's safety and comfort in that, and they begin to open up. So if you're not sharing something with your mate, how do you know how he's going to respond? He might be going through something very similar himself, and like 9 times out of 10 probably is. So you got that. It's only going to connect you further. And even if he's unable to or has a capacity to be able to support you, it's the fact that you've opened up and then someone knows. And that's a really important piece.
What's been some of the best advice that you've received? So many.
I can't write it for you, though I can write it with you.
Oh, I love that. And what does that mean for you?
It was the biggest wake-up call. It meant that it was all me. It's only ever going to be me. And that was, another key moment where it's that piece of accountability of, fuck, I can rely on people, though I need to start relying on myself and hold myself accountable, and all these things that I've blamed in my life aren't what's the problem. The problem is me.
I think that's so powerful and beautiful, is that you need to want to change for you, because no one can do it for you, can do the work for you. And I think that's so powerful in itself. And for women saying, I want my partner to change, or you can't change for them. You can just put your hand out.
You have to let them. It has to be. And that it was 2 days after I was told that it actually landed for me. Again, everyone is on their own timeline, and you can wish and push and ask and tell all you want, though until something lands for someone, they're probably not going to do that. So like patience is hugely a key in this. And again, a lot of wives, partners, girlfriends ask, how can I get my partner to do this? He's doing this, doing this. Bring it back to you. What are you doing in that? What are you doing to enable that behaviour? What are you not doing for yourself that you could model to him? So if it's a question I ask a lot of the partners that come in, I go, what work are you doing for you? They're like, how do I get my husband to do this? Okay, well, what are you doing to show him that this work is what it can be? So, yeah.
Yeah, you go first. Yeah,
and I know that sucks for a lot of women too, because a lot of women are leading their men and they're sick of leading and they want to be led. Though, what if this last piece of showing him what could be possible is the last piece of that leading?
And I think it opens up the doors and to more possibilities at the same time. Like, yeah, if you're on a different journey, then you're on a different journey. And that's something else to explore. But yeah, you can't change someone.
No.
Yeah.
They have to change themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So for listeners, like, what is a couple of really key messages that you'd love them to get out of this podcast and this conversation as well?
Honestly, it's that the fear of judgment. Like you have to stop caring what other people will think. If you really want to change your life, then you've got to stop that. Like, do not give a fuck what anyone else thinks. You can value opinions, though yours is the main opinion. Again, what is it? in 100 years' time, 7 billion people will be dead. Like, so what you do right now doesn't actually matter. Doesn't matter. So just go do it. Like, if I forget where I heard it though. It's the Queen, who's one of the most powerful monarchs that have ever lived in this world. If you haven't thought about her since her funeral, why is anyone going to think about you?
So true.
So just do it.
So true. Yeah. What are you hoping that I would ask you today that I haven't asked you, that you think that it's so important for men to hear this and women to hear as well with your message?
It doesn't have to be like it is right now. We were actually speaking before the podcast of you were in the room and I was doing some work, some growth work, and there was a moment of release, and again another pivotal moment for me because I'd never felt so free from myself, yet so connected to myself at the same time. And it doesn't have to be that way. It gets to be, you get to be free. You get to feel like life doesn't have to be all anxious and depression and all that. It gets to be love and light and joy. And all it actually takes is one little choice for you to want to change and then going to do the work.
I love that you brought that up as well. So we were in the same room a few years ago, I want to say 3 years ago or something like that. And there was a particular process that Dane and a lot of the other men in the room went through, and I won't go into it a lot, but as a woman being there and hearing and seeing that was so healing for me as well, and that a man can fully express his emotions, his anger, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be linked to something bad happening.
Yeah.
And that was just, I still remember, I still get chills from that as well. Like, it was just such an incredibly powerful thing to witness. These men just being such incredible, beautiful, safe men. And that's why I think I just love what you do so much as well.
Yeah, and giving that opportunity to any man that wants it is part of the reason as to why we do what we do. And there was so much in that. There was so much that, I mean, I think I was 36 or 37 at the time, and it was 37 years of heartbreak, anger, sadness, grief, all of it just being able to come out. And that lightness in my body after was just something you cannot describe it until you actually experience it. We do our best to describe that feeling, and the best way to say it is that feeling of freedom within. And that's something I'll hold closely to my heart for a very, very long time.
It's like just the expression of emotion rather than the suppression of it. And when you suppress something for such a long time and you finally have that release, like it just, and I know for me when I first started, like just that it is so freeing and powerful and beautiful, and you're like, I want to continue on with this. And it's just energy.
It is.
And it's just learning.
And we share a lot of the footage on our page around that, where people are seeing men yell in front of the ladies, and they always go to violence straight away. Not always. Most people go to violence because they don't make sense of it. But that's the whole point of us sharing it, because I know it's going to stir some conversation, and I want to create that conversation with that. So we go, and I will explain to people that actually put a message in there or a comment that's decent, I will say, because there are a lot of comments in there that are just, I'll say, rubbish is the nicest way I can put it. So opening up the conversation around it is why, another reason as to why we share so much of what we do.
And I think I just want to put my perspective on that as well, because I absolutely love everything that you do. And I grew up in a fairly angry household where my dad and my brother were pretty, just angry in terms of their emotions. And so for me, being on the receiving end of that, when I left home, anytime someone would yell at me or, anything along those lines, I was like, no, not me. I'll walk away. And I then saw that trend with the people I dated as well, because I was like, I don't want that. So rather than that, I'd go this way. And it's only in the last couple of years, and, you know, being a part of what you were just talking about, that anger isn't a bad thing. It's an expression, and it's a healthy expression as well. It can be a healthy expression. And I always thought it was a bad thing, but then that's me shining away from conflict. So if things get hard, I was like, oh, avoidant, close up, protection mode, see you later.
And you've seen it expressed in an unhealthy way.
100%.
So.
Yeah. So it's healing for both.
Yeah.
Like going through things like that. It's so healing.
There are a lot of women in the room that had experienced a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse from men, that it was for them it was really difficult to begin with, to hear and see and feel, and seeing them after, and then having conversations with them after about how it made them feel was just it just made my experience even better. And look, it's why we have women on our men's retreats. It's why we have men on our women's retreats, because if it was all men's retreat and just men's facilitators, how are we expecting the men to heal the wound from the feminine? It's not possible.
Yeah.
And from day one, because I got to experience it, we were like, yep, this has to happen this way. And it's changed. Every retreat's different. Every retreat changes slightly. And from day one, the men have been a little bit more involved on the women's, until they're there from day one and a part of every single part of it. And the women they're more involved on the men's as well, because the more we do that, the more we see of that healing and wounding happen. So yeah,
when you heal yourself, you heal others. I'm sure we can go into so many more avenues with this work. I absolutely love everything that you stand for, everything you're doing, everything that you're creating with Dane as well, because I feel like this work is so powerful in itself. And just keep doing you and being on that vision and that mission as well, because it's so incredibly needed as well. So I thank you for that, and for going first as well, and for showing men that it's okay as well, because that also then means something for the woman.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for creating this. It's avenues like this and where people can hear and listen, and that may not come across at my page or on Nadine's page, that get to see and feel this work. Yeah. So thank you for the conversations that you have here and share.
Thank you. I appreciate it.